he has such a confident way about him, and he has a presence because he just really believes in himself, and he's really positive. And I think he's also, the way he plays is very contagious too, so it makes people around him better, and that's just kind of a gift. So there's a lot to be excited about.
Double A last year. How realistic is his opportunity to make the team in camp, or how much? I mean, I guess a lot of people obviously are clamoring to see him, but you and Nick and everyone obviously have to temper that and bring him along slowly. But where's the chance, I guess, for him in camp?
I think it's really important to number one, do what's best for the player. Of course, you have a team and an organization to make decisions for. But the best way to do that is to do what's best for the player. And I think being open and not trying to predetermine too much what the timeline may look like for a young player, because things change fast. Things change really fast. And every player has their own timeline. And if you get too set, sometimes you can miss a window. You can always recover from it, but sometimes, you can wait too long. And certainly it's happened at times where you do it too quick, but you just have to really rely on people and evaluation, and it's an art, but we have the right people in place to make those decisions. So I think Ellie is seeing it the right way, he's approaching it the right way, and then we just see what happens. I think it'll become clear when the time is right.
I think I asked this inarticulately the other day, so I'll do it in a different inarticulate way. How many places do you have set spaces when you look at your roster? Where are the competitions is kind of the other part of that. What is open, and I guess Joey at first, Tyler behind the plate, but after that.
Yeah, I mean there's still questions. Some are based around health, some are based around guys come in and just surprise you. I think we got a pretty good sense of who guys were last year. Like a guy like Spencer Steer came in, and even though it was only a couple months, I think that really sets him up for year two. I think he's going to factor in. I think he's going to get a good look probably at third base. Jonathan India, I mean, he's determined to have a better year than his rookie season this year, so we expect that to happen. Joey, the way he's talking, he's ahead of schedule, so obviously he's going to be in the lineup if that's the case. And Tyler, looks great, feels great. He's going to be in the lineup every day. Nick Senzel, setback with his injury, but he's on track to be back for opening day. So I think it may not be like a set. I don't know that I could tell you the set 9, but we have a pretty good idea of who the group is going to be. Unless things, change over the next couple of days, which they're always. I expect it to change a little bit, but we know who the core group is.
So are you? I was going to say, does any of your thought process, maybe even with Jonathan, change with the rule changes with no shift? Just because you guys won't have that available to you?
I mean, the rule changes are going to affect this game in a big way. There's no question. It's been fun thinking ahead to try to turn those into an advantage and try to think ahead, and our team will evolve over time. But for right now, it's how can we prepare our team the best way we can. Number one, it's really understanding the rules. It's talking to people in player development that have experienced them, creating practice strategies around that. But a guy for Jonathan, in my mind, he's coming in to be our second baseman. He had several injuries last year that he played through. I think he learned a lot about how to keep his body healthy last year. And he looks great. He was in Cincinnati this weekend running sprints, and he looked better than he did the entire year last year. So he's a young player. He's plenty athletic. He's determined to kind of maximize his range. So in my mind, our second baseman right now.
You mentioned Senzel. He mentioned at Reds Fest that he hasn't walked in 3 months. He's still on that scooter and all that. Is you guys really think he could be ready in time for camp and make opening day in time?
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I mean, it was tough to see him scooting around still. That's how he left the season. Yeah. But he's going to be walking in a couple weeks, and once that happens, it's going to go really fast. So we're still, 4 months away, close to 4 months away from opening day. So there is time for him to get back. And he's done a great job of taking care of himself. He looks really good. I mean, it's tough to manage, for anyone to manage their weight and their, physical conditioning when you can't run or do anything. So I give him a lot of credit. He's being tested right now, and he's handling it really well. So I expect him to be back on time.
You mentioned him as like a utility guy possible for this year. Could it be more likely that happens just based off toe injury, had a knee last year?
Yeah.
Like a couple leg injuries.
It could be. I mean, right now, the way our team is today, you need in center field, and he's played well enough. I think he's learned a lot. A lot of it has to do with his physical health and the kind of shape he's in. And when he's at his best, he can play a good center field. So right now, the need is kind of there, but we've kind of established that if the need changes, that he's ready to be moved around. But where we are today, I don't see that being the case.
David, you mentioned the rule changes earlier. Is there one that you're personally looking forward to, and maybe one that you said, well, I don't know why they messed with that, but you have one either way?
Yeah, I've shifted all my thoughts to like really being really excited about them, and just like seeing how it can make our game better. And the more I've thought about it, I really think it's gonna do just that. It's gonna be a faster game. Each of them are going to affect the game differently. The big one for me that I've been thinking a lot about is just the two disengagements, and the throwover restrictions. That's really going to change the game, from a stolen base standpoint, speed. But even the no shifting, it's going to lead to more hits. Contact's going to be more important. Base running in general is just going to be more of a priority. So I think a lot of us really enjoy that style of play.
Is spring training, especially the disengagements, I guess, maybe, are there going to be real good instructions about that? Like, okay, use one, but be careful about using two,
Yeah, I think that I really believe that you have a chance to get off to a quicker start in some way. Like you can create an advantage at the beginning of the season.
If you're on top of it.
And we don't have that nailed down yet, but we're already talking a lot about it. I've talked to a lot of people in the minor leagues who picked up some really good strategies. So, I think practicing those during workouts and spring training, just talking about it, making sure our players really understand what the rules are, and doing different type of presentations, and just really having some fun with making it, trying to create an advantage that way. And I think that's the speed and the athleticism and all that. Teams are going to be who they are, but I think from a coaching staff standpoint, it's kind of fun to think about how you can make a difference in that way.
You guys haven't been a real good base running team. You haven't had a lot of speed.
Yeah.
Is there a way? How do you change that? Especially because I'm sure it is exciting, and it looks like that's a way to get some advantages.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a style of play based on the personnel that make up your roster in a lot of ways, and base running has always been important to me. It's always been important to our staff. It's been important to our team, but I agree we haven't been as good at it as we should be or can be. But our team has changed. We had even last year we got younger. It's going to continue to change. We brought in Colin Cowgill, who's his mentality towards base running is it's fun talking to him about it. And I think base running more than anything is just an attitude and it's a mentality. And he's pretty recent to running the bases himself, and I got really excited just hearing him talk about it, how passionate he was about it. So things like that can make a difference. Like you can, by just making it important and, you know, having your team believe in, you know, the ability to win games that way. That's the big thing with, I mean, it is technique for sure, and certainly now with the rule changes, but more than anything, it's just an attitude. So we're gonna, it's gonna be a big focus for us.
You see guys like Ciani, you know, Friedel, that they actually have some speed. That's something I don't know that you've really had in your time here. Because Billy was gone before you were. Is that
Yeah.
maybe those guys have more utility because
sure.
of the ability to steal base?
Steal base, you know, go first to third, score from second on a base hit. Like, it's a fun style of play. We are getting faster, and I think over time that's even gonna increase more. So, yeah, just making it important. You know, making sure you get secondary leads and all that, and are really good at that. But the speed is gonna come into play a lot more. So, I'm looking forward to that. You know, I think a lot of our staff is committed to like being really great at those kind of things. You know, hitting to like contact is going to be more important, and so that's something Joel and I have talked a lot about.
When you were
David, a couple of development questions. You know, the Braves brought up two guys from AA this year, you know, great young talents. I asked Brian Snitker about that, you know, longtime minor league manager, if he thinks players need as much time in the minors as they used to, and he actually said he doesn't think they do. So he was more comfortable with coming up right from AA. Did, you know, Grissom and Harris coming up, you know, create more discussion in your org about, hey, you know, maybe this works?
No one player in particular that we talked about or one example, but there's a ton of examples over time, you know, where you bring up a great young talent, even players that went on to have great careers. Sometimes you bring them up, sometimes they get sent back down, you know, and continue their development and then come back at a later time. Like, there's no one right way, and so no, we didn't look at one particular example, but I just think it's different for every player, very, very individual.
Okay. And the one other thing is, I know there's some orgs the last year or two have talked about how they're trying to have more collaboration and cohesion between the big leagues and the minors. So when guys come up, everybody's on more the same page as ever. You know, like sending big league coaches down for a week to the, you know, teams. Have you guys done anything like that?
We've done a ton of work to make sure all our people are aligned. Definitely the major league staff and the minor league coordinators, minor league managers, minor league coaches. Like, we established a few years ago. It's always been important, but it's been a real focus, at least the time I've been here, and I know it was even before I got here. So, like, that's extremely important, and it's probably more important now with just how fast the game is changing, and just making sure you're on the same page with everything.
Yeah, what exactly, though, have you implemented to make it better? Just more frequent contact or different types of reports?
Communication, just talking a lot. You know, like, for example, at the end of our season, we had the entire pitching coordinator group and our major league coaching staff, and they just talked about everything to do with pitching, just to make sure they're speaking the same language. You know, we reviewed all our pitchers, just making sure that everything we're doing is aligned. Yeah, I mean, all the communications and reports and all that is major league and minor league. It's not separate. It's all integrated together. Now, it is different, the major leagues and the minor leagues, but just trying to blend it as much as we can to make it easier for the players when they get there.
You mentioned the roster changing. Does anything like your managing style, coaching style change just based off the fact that, no, minus like Joey and like Sessa, there's a lot of guys with less than like 2 years of service time
Yeah.
going to be on this roster?
Yeah, I mean, it is a young group. I mean, one of the things about, you know, I think I'll put myself into this category, but like when we look at our whole staff, one of the most important things to me was yes, it's the major leagues, like the competitive, they all have an edge, but they all are player development at the core. They love players and they're great at connecting and building those relationships. And they're all very knowledgeable, really well-rounded. They have great skills, but without that ability to connect, it doesn't do you much good. So that was like the priority, and we love that part of it. I mean, that's our passion, really, is just developing people and players. So that's really the approach. Like it has gotten younger. Obviously, we lost Kyle, and I've said this a few times already, but like you can't replace a guy like that. But you look at creating the opportunity for other guys to step up. And and our staff all agree on this. Like we don't appoint leaders or appoint people to like take over the clubhouse or anything like that. That we let it happen naturally. And even though we have really a young team, they've all been there for a lot of them have been there now, and they kind of know what to expect. They understand what's important to me and to our culture and what it means to be a Red, and I think it'll just kind of happen. So we feel pretty confident about that.
Aquí estamos en el juego de los Knicks. Lo vamos a dejar con la mejor jugada del juego de los Knicks ahora.
Mi gente, están disfrutando. Lamentablemente hemos llegado a la parte final de la máquina deportiva. Como saben, el tiempo es corto en la televisión. En las cámaras, Philly Carmona, Domingo Rodríguez en la producción, Oniel trabajando y el chino cobrando. Será hasta entonces.